Hey, sports fans, happy New Year's. It's New Year's Eve. We're getting ready for the Bulls down in Miami. PB sitting down there in the place to be. Miami Gardens is where the game is at. He's not too far away, and he's drinking something from the local brewery down there, right?
Yes, Screaming Rails IPA. This thing is my favorite one down here, 7%. It's from a brewery called Saltwater Brewery in Delray. Love it. Gonna crack it right now. Ready for Bowl Friday, New Year's Eve.
Nice. I will hold off on the champagne for a little while longer. Hey, it's also COVID season, and it continues to wreak havoc in sports. We had more positives in the month of December in the NFL than all of 2020, PB. That's just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's wreaking havoc right now. So
it is. Or as we like to say in the PB&Z Sports Chaos, it's wreaking chaos. Hey, speaking of tough news, this past week, very sad news. John Madden passed away at 85 years old. Before I mention this little stat about him, PB, I put a little poll out about what do people know most about Madden. It was funny. And I said, what's your age? The younger they were, the less they knew he was an NFL coach. Matter of fact, I heard this on a sports show. One guy said his 15-year-old son thought it was just the name of the game, not a person.
Oh,
DYK, though, he was a coach, folks. He wasn't just the EA Madden game. He wasn't just a great NFL color man on multiple broadcasts. He was on all 4 networks at one point in time, but he was a coach. And by the way, DYK, he has the highest winning percentage ever of an NFL coach at 759. Anybody that had 100 games minimum, he won 103. I think 120 altogether, including playoffs. Pretty good job, huh?
Amazing.
Yeah, never had less than a winning season. He was never a losing coach, so that's even better. All right, hey, award season, real quick. I saw this. Shohei Ohtani and Candace Parker with the AP Sportsman Women and a Meal of the Year. Given it was an Olympic year, do you think that was fitting that those two won it?
I could go either way.
So I can't think of anybody else to dominate in the Olympics like in years past. Simone Biles didn't dominate like she did like 4 years ago, right? So no one won 6 gold medals. We would have said, whoa, that person gets it automatically, right?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with it.
By the way, SI, they had their famous Sportsman of the Year, and you know who got it? The 44-year-old legend himself, TB12 was the Sportsman of the Year. Congrats there. Hey, I got one more winner because it is award season. The Kyrie Award winner this week, none other than Mr. Cole Beasley, the wide receiver from the Buffalo Bills. Get this. Mr. Beasley, who was an SMU grad, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I know at least he went there. Maybe he didn't graduate given his lack of knowledge. He says that science is wrong, the doctors are wrong, and everybody should stay unvaccinated. Of course, he is. He's been fined over $100,000 this year alone for COVID protocols. Congratulations, Cole. You're our Kyrie Award winner. We might have to change it to the Cole Award next. Who knows?
My next question is, does he even make that much?
He probably does. He was a pretty good receiver as a third slot guy for the Cowboys. He's been all right for the Bills, but not this year. Obviously, he doesn't make the field because he's out with COVID all the time. Hey, bowl season continues, but we've had now 6 games disrupted, 4 canceled, 2 which 2 teams had to back out of, and they had to find replacements. Like one of them on right now, Rutgers is playing Wake Forest. Rutgers is not even supposed to be in the bowl. As a matter of fact, they got a losing record, and they're in a bowl game due to COVID. So this has been nuts. Unbelievable. Hey, by the way, before we get into our picks in bowls, fan reached out and said, hey, PB's wrong. The reason why they cannot push the NCAA championship beyond the 14th is due to network commitments. So there you go. You there?
I am here. I'm just clearing out some stuff that came up and turning up the volume.
All right. Let's do some college bowl game picks. We're going to do a lot this week. We get the whole New Year's 6. We're going to pick all those games. We get the 2 CFP playoff games today. We'll start out with just the winners only this week. Peach Bowl. They played last night, but UI and G Money, we picked it in because we thought we'd do our show last night. You picked Michigan State. I picked Michigan State. But
Money had Pittsburgh.
G Money picked Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, he did. So he's off to an 0-1 start. We're off to a 1-0 start. So
All right, we got
There you
the Arkansas Outback Bowl. We've got Arkansas playing Penn State. Who do you like there?
yeah, this is a tough one. I go back and think about some of the games that I had a chance to watch throughout the year. And I did see Arkansas play a few times. I saw Penn State play a few times as well. And I liked what I saw at Arkansas. So I'm going to take the Razorbacks in this one.
Woo! All right, so there's G Money. By the way, outside of that big upset by South Carolina yesterday over North Carolina, double-digit underdog, if they didn't win that, the SEC, the famous SEC, is 1-5 right now in bowl games. By the way, that's a Big Ten opponent. The Big Ten is 4-0 at this point in time in bowl games. So go figure. There you go. All right. I happen to like Penn State in this one. I think Penn State pulls it off.
Yeah.
All right,
Well, the other thing with that too
Bowl.
is the SEC, the power teams in the SEC, because they made such good bowls, they haven't played yet. So
True.
we're still going to see a lot of the SEC teams play here down the stretch.
However, that speaks to the depth of the conference when you look at one that's very weak with their weak teams and the other one that's been strong with their weak teams. So I don't know. Maybe they're a little more seasoned. We'll see. Citrus Bowl, another game not too far away from you, right?
Yep.
We got Kentucky, another SEC school, playing Iowa, another Big Ten school. G Money's got Kentucky in that one.
Yeah, I think the SEC can start making their comeback. Starts this week and today, really. So I'm going to take Kentucky as well.
Ooh. By the way, Iowa at one point in time, we remember correctly, was top 4 in the country, right?
Yeah, that loss to Michigan just set me that's what's making me pick Kentucky. They had an opportunity to dethrone Michigan, win the Big Ten championship, and they couldn't. So I think they're done. I think that's gonna be a hangover for them. That's why I like Kentucky.
I like Hayden Fry and the Iowa team. Here we go. I got Iowa. All right, Fiesta Bowl. We've got Notre Dame against Oklahoma State. Notre Dame with a new head coach, but familiar to the team. He was the defensive coordinator. What do you think there?
Yeah, same thing here. Oklahoma State down the stretch, they had a chance to make it into the college football playoff if they could have won a couple of games down the stretch, and they didn't. So momentum's not on their side. I think they got a little bit of a hangover as well. Notre Dame probably could have got into the CFP if they played in a division and actually could participate in a championship game. So I'm going to take the Fighting Irish.
Do you think if they were playing in the CFP that Brian Kelly would have taken the LSU job?
Good question. Don't know.
Would
Probably
that have
not.
been unbelievable? A coach that has his team in the CFP leaves before the CFP to take another role. That would have
He
been
may have still
something to
taken it, but
watch
it may have
for.
been. Yeah, I think he may have still taken it, but it would have been after.
They probably wouldn't have offered him a job. I bet he had to take it on the spot.
Yeah, maybe. You're right.
All right. We got Utah playing
Who do you-
Ohio State in the granddaddy of all, the Rose Bowl. I love that game. I miss Keith Jackson doing the announcing on that. One of the great moments on New Year's Day at 5 o'clock was watching the Rose Bowl and listening to Keith Jackson. Who do you think?
Who do you got in the Notre Dame game?
I got Notre Dame.
You got Notre Dame too? So all three of us got Notre Dame.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Ohio State. I think they got more talent. I think they can win it.
So I think I'm with you, but one stat has me a little bit nervous. Ohio State is missing their top 3 receivers. All 3, the top 3 catches. By the way, 2 of them rated top 5 in the draft this year are gone. They're not going to be in the game, so we'll see. Utah came off a big blowout of Oregon in the Pac-12 championship. They're on a little bit of a roll, but G Money likes them. I think I'm with you. I'm going to go Ohio State as well. All right, Sugar Bowl, another one that's a big game every year. Ole Miss in their neighborhood is playing Baylor. Ole Miss is the favorite in that game. Who do you like?
Yeah. And Ole Miss, they get that kid at quarterback who's going to be one of the top prospects.
Matt Corral, yes.
Matt
Yes,
Corral.
he's probably the number 2 pick for quarterbacks in the draft.
Yeah, and I think this is his ticket to really going into the draft with momentum, showing that he can win in a big spotlight. So I'm going to, just for the reason of him, I'm going to take Ole Miss.
I got Ole Miss as well.
I'm not sure of the overall talent of the team. Leans me a little bit in the other direction, but I'm just going to go with Ole Miss on this one.
Yeah, I think Lane Kiffin's going to put on his best show. So we'll see. By the way, G Money has Ole Miss and he has Utah in the Rose Bowl. I forgot to mention that. Utah for G Money. So we'll see.
All right.
All right. In a little known bowl that's being played on Monday night, the Texas Bowl, guess where that's being played, features Kansas State against LSU. Brian Kelly will not be coaching the game yet, nor will the coach Ed Ogdron, who's gone already. He said, I'm not going to coach the bowl game. Who do you like there?
Yeah, neither of these teams impressed me too much throughout the year. I'm just going to stick with the SEC. I think they can get past this 1-5 start they've had in bowl games and start to come back and win some. So I'm going to take LSU on this one.
I'm with you. I think that the team rallies around Ed, even though he's not there. G Money happens to like K-State. I don't know what he's thinking, but he likes K-State. All right. College football playoffs today. We had the first game at 3:30. We got Cincinnati playing Alabama in the Cotton Bowl. Cincinnati's a 14.5-point underdog. What do you think?
We're picking these ones against the spread. Is that correct, Z?
Yes.
So all the other ones we're picking straight up. This one we're picking against the spread.
Yeah, we'll help the fans out.
All right. So if you're betting on these two games tonight, this afternoon and tonight, it's tough. The Vegas sets these lines high on Alabama, and they do it for a reason. Alabama's tough, and they're tough to come back on. I don't think Cincinnati has the horses to do it. I really don't. So not only think Alabama's going to win the game, but I think they'll cover the 14.5 spread, and they'll win somewhere in the mid to high 20s. I think they could beat Cincinnati by today.
You know what? I want to pick Cincinnati because they've got 30-something seniors. That's unheard of in college football, and I think that's going to be a factor. They did have a convincing win against Notre Dame this year as well. But to your point, I think the SEC competition has gotten Alabama to the rise to the challenge. I got Alabama winning and covering as well. G Money likes Cincinnati to at least cover that game, by the way.
All right. Yeah, I'll go 45-20, 45-21, something like that.
I don't know if it gets that much. I think it's going to be like 30-14.
Okay.
Cincinnati's got two of the best cornerbacks in the country. And by the way, John Mechie, maybe the best wide receiver in Alabama, is out injured. So they're going to be challenged a little bit there. We'll see. But I think that they win and cover it. Probably a late score, pick six or something covers the spread. All right. Tonight, the Orange Bowl, which has always been one of my favorites. The Rose Bowl first at 5 and the Orange Bowl at 8:30. Usually had the best halftime performances ever. You got Michigan facing Georgia. Georgia's a 7.5-point favorite. They got a beat down in the SEC championship by Alabama. Michigan, by the way, took care of their arch rival, Ohio State. And then they romped in the Big Ten. What do you think?
Michigan looks good, man. They're playing really good football. I like what they did in the Big Ten championship against Iowa. I think with Harbaugh and all the momentum, the 100-1 odds they had of winning the championship when the season started, they just have so much to prove and so much to play for. So not only do I think they can cover the 7.5-point spread, but I think they can have a chance to win this game outright. Georgia goes down in defeat to Alabama in the SEC championship game, and they can't recover. And they also have that hangover and drop this one to Michigan. So I'm taking the Wolverines.
I will add to that. I'm with you on that. And I will add, here's another thing. Georgia was manhandled by Alabama's offensive line. By the way, they say the one weakness on Alabama going into the season was their offensive line because what they lost in graduates last year or people moving on to the pros. And they absolutely manhandled was supposedly the best front seven in college football. And I think that Georgia may be a little bit on the light side. Michigan's got some beef up there and some athleticism. I think they do the same thing that Alabama does. They win the battle in the trenches and they win that game.
All right. So under over sacks for Hutchinson in this game. What, 1.5, 2?
Well, if he has 2, it's definitely they win the game. That's all I'll say. I don't know. Does he get 2? I don't know. But if he gets 2, that's all I'm going to say. If he gets 2, they win the game. What do you think?
I like that. Okay. I think that's very possible.
Is he the number 1 draft pick, you think?
Yeah, he should be.
Yeah.
He should be
This
number
game
one
will only
overall.
help us cause, right?
Well, if
Right.
it goes to Jacksonville, obviously they're not looking for a quarterback because they got Trevor as their franchise quarterback. So we'll see if he can turn things around next year. But why wouldn't you go after a defensive impact player like that?
Yeah. Or an offensive lineman. All right. Let's get on to the NFL. By the way, there was a huge upset last week in the NFL. Chargers lost to Houston. Who saw that coming?
That's
Wow.
it. I mean, up and down, up and down. I mean, there's just so many teams that have done that this year. It's hard to tell.
By the way, in our famous Pick Six, by the way, fans, we've had the Pick Six logo for 3 years now. NFL, I mean, ESPN's been using it now. CBS has been using it. We've had this for 3 years. PB and G Money were remarkable 6-1 last week. G Money, I think, is like 11-1 in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's been on a roll. NFL.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what happens this week. By the way, Z-Man was unfortunately 2-4 because I picked a couple upsets that did not come through. Let's start out down. Well, not down there. Your home team is up in Tennessee this week, and Miami goes to Tennessee. Tennessee won that big Thursday night game against San Fran, which I didn't think they would do, but they did convincingly in my mind. What do you think?
Yeah, Tennessee's a resilient team. You know, they're never out of a game. They play tough. They're at home. Everything's kind of in their favor, but on the other side of the coin, Miami's playing for the playoffs. You know, Tennessee's pretty much in. They haven't clinched it yet, but they're pretty much in. I think Miami goes into Tennessee and continues their winning streak, which, by the way, only the Chiefs right now have a longer winning streak in the NFL than the Dolphins. So I think the Dolphins go on the road here and surprise some people and win this game. I'm taking Miami, which will set up.
All right.
Which gives them a chance to, if they win out, of course they're in. They got to play the Patriots next week. But even if they beat Tennessee, there's still a scenario where they could lose next week to the Patriots and still get into the playoffs. So that would be such a great story for a team to start the season 1-7 with a 7-game losing streak, by the way, and actually make the playoffs. I think it might be the first time in the history of the NFL that it would have happened. So good for the Dolphins.
It is the first time. It's the first time the team has had a 7-game winning streak and a 7-game losing streak, which is why I say this. Miami, for being over 500, 8-7, is the worst over 500 team at this point in time in the NFL's history ever. That's why I say Tennessee wins this game easily. They're coming off 10 days of rest. Miami's on a short week. They played on Monday night, by the way, right? So it doesn't look good in my mind. I think Tennessee wins this thing with the rest.
All right.
You and G Money get Miami, though. So we'll see what happens here. All right. KC goes to Cincinnati. Cincinnati came off another dominant win last week over the Ravens. Kansas City, as you just mentioned, is on a big winning streak, right? What do you think?
Yeah, and for the same reason, I think the teams that are on the winning streaks are hard to pick against until they show you they can go out there and lose. Just like Miami's defense really is what turned that team around. Same things happened with Kansas City. Their defense is dominating, and I don't see any reason why they can't go into Cincinnati. People are going to ride Cincinnati high because of their win over Baltimore. They did beat Baltimore twice throughout the season. They also have a very dynamic offense. There's been analysts saying that as far as a 4-punch goes, like 2 receivers, a back, and a quarterback, that they're untouchable in the NFL compared to any other team, including the Chiefs, because the Chiefs obviously don't have a running back that compares to Joe Mixon, nor do they have a number 2 receiver. Their number 2 receiver is Kelsey, really, who's a tight end, right?
Yep.
And something else interesting about Cincinnati, first team in the history of the NFL with a 4,000-yard passer, a 1,000-yard rusher, and 2 1,000 wide receivers under the age of 25. It's never been done before in the history of the NFL, and they're doing it this year. So their offense is for real. But the way Kansas City's defense is playing right now, and give me Patrick Mahomes in an important game where he can clinch the number 1 seed, I'm taking the Chiefs until they lose a game. I'm staying with the Chiefs.
I got to go with you on that as well. I think Chiefs win that one. I know they're traveling to the East Coast. They're playing, I think it's a 1:00 game, if I'm not mistaken, as well, right? So,
yep.
But it's not like they're coming from the West Coast either. So I like KC winning that game as well. By the way, a lot of talk about Burrow being the next Patrick. Matter of fact, who would you take for the next 5 years? A lot of analysts are saying they take Burrow over Patrick. Not sure that I would jump the gun yet. Patrick's not even 30, so hang on before we talk about Burrow taking his place at this moment.
Exactly. And G Money's got Cincy in that game.
He's got Cincinnati. Yes, he does. He's smelling
Right.
something. I don't know what it is. Maybe his butthole, but we'll see. All right. Rams are going to Baltimore. Ordinarily, I would take the Ravens because I think they're a tough team, but you can't lose 11 cornerbacks in 1 year and expect to be able to stop the Rams, never mind 4 offensive linemen. So with or without Lamar, it doesn't matter. I don't see the Ravens win this game. Rams should, let's put it this way, if Rams don't win, they don't belong in the playoffs.
Yeah, they should win this game. I don't care. The fact that it's in Baltimore and they're traveling across the country doesn't matter to me. You all heard PB's bold prediction when Baltimore was the #1 seed in the AFC with a first round bye and had everything going in their direction. I said bold prediction was they're not even going to make the playoffs. They're going to go from #1 to out of the playoffs completely. And this will just kind of put the stamp on that this week when they get smoked by the Rams following the smoking that they just got from the Bengals. So Rams all day.
By the way, I believe you're mistaken. If the Ravens, believe it or not, can lose this game and win next week, if Cincinnati loses the next 2, the Ravens still win the division.
Yeah, they do have, right. There is a way they can backdoor in with a 1-1 record. So the stamp
Well, I
on
wouldn't call it backdoor. All they have to do is win the next game, and then if they're in, that's not backdoor.
Well, it is because they have to hope another team loses.
Backdoor would be if they lost 2 and got in.
Yeah, anytime you have to get in by hoping another team loses, to me is a backdoor. But
it's got to be you lose too. All right, Minnesota. Speaking of a backdoor team, your division favorite has no shot any longer. They're playing Green Bay. What do you think?
yeah, and they still do have a shot to get in, but they haven't been eliminated. But they got to play in Green Bay. Now, they did beat Green Bay this year. So Green Bay only has 3 losses. One of them is to Minnesota. They lost him when it was in Minnesota. But, this is a classic split type situation. These 2 teams should split, and they're going to win in Green Bay. So I'm taking the Packers.
By the way, I believe Dalvin Cook is out. So.
Yep, and Thielen's out as well. So
yeah, he's protocol. I think Dalvin's hurt, right? So I'm with Green Bay as well, unless A-Rod stubs his toe. Oh, wait a minute, he already has stubbed his toe. He's still playing.
That's right. And KJ Osborne's going to step up. I mean, he's going to be the #2 receiver there behind Justin Jefferson. Look for a decent week out of him, but not enough to beat the Packers.
Hey, by the way, I forgot to mention, G Money likes Baltimore in that other game.
Okay.
He does take Green Bay in this one, so he came back to his senses. All right, Arizona plays Dallas. Arizona, as we've talked about, has gone in there, as usual, end of season tailspin. They're still going to be in the playoffs, most likely. There's no way they fall out of it, I don't think, even if they lose the next 2 games. But they play Dallas, who's on a hot streak a little bit, and they've now won 4 in a row, I believe. Division 1 was won after last week. What do you think?
Yeah, and you're right. They have clinched the playoff spot, so they're in no matter what. Even if they've dropped their last 2 games and finished 10-7, they're still in. But this is a team that's heading in the wrong direction. They're just not doing what they need to do. They're failing down the stretch. If they do get in the playoffs, I think they're a one-and-done team. Dallas, on the other hand, there's no question that, their defense is for real. I mean, at all 3 levels. I mean, their front 7 is phenomenal. Micah Parsons is a potential MVP candidate. You got definitely defensive player of the year as a rookie, which would be amazing. And then, their defensive backfield with Diggs and everything is amazing as well. So Dallas is, to me, is the one team that can really threaten Tampa Bay and threaten Green Bay in the playoffs, and even the Rams for that matter. So all day, Dallas in this game, all day.
G Money helps you like Arizona. I will say this, as a Cowboy fan, Dallas is back 4 or 5 really is a little bit in the week. They're optimistic. They take advantage of you and they get pickoffs and some takeaways, but you can beat them. Trayvon Diggs, as good as he has been with 11 picks, does tend to get beat. So they do scare me unless the front 7, to your point, has a great day. If those guys have to play on an island without a pass rush, they are in trouble. Arizona can't scare you, but I don't believe D-Hop is playing again this week, so I'm going to take Dallas as well.
Okay.
All right. Cleveland and Pittsburgh, believe it or not, both these teams are still alive in the AFC North. What do you think?
Yeah, and neither of these teams to me deserve to be in the playoffs, but one of the two teams will probably make the playoffs. There's a possibility that both teams don't make the playoffs. Roethlisberger looks like crap. Obviously, he's aging. His receivers didn't even look good. I mean, Deontay Johnson was dropping passes with nobody around him last week, or I should say, fumbling the ball with nobody around him last week. I just don't see either of these teams. I have to go down to the run game and the controlling the clock and defense. And I think when Nick Chubb to me is a better running back right now than Najee Harris, even though Najee Harris is a rookie, he's got a lot of potential. And then I look at the defense, and Pittsburgh has no defense at all, and Cleveland has a very formidable defense. And I think they can hold Pittsburgh down to 17 or less points. And I think Cleveland has enough to score 20 or more points. So
I disagree with that. The stats say Pittsburgh's defense is pretty good. I believe they're number 9 in the NFL. So their defense is pretty good. They do rush the passer well. They got TJ Watt, who right now I think still leads the league in sacks. So if they get pressure, that team is pretty good. And again, much like Dallas, they may be a little suspect on the back end. A little Micah Hyde's pretty good. I think Pittsburgh's defense is you're underrating them at this point in time. So I like the defense. I think they win the game. G Money does as well. Plus, it's in Three Rivers.
It's in Three Rivers.
Also, right Horace for Cleveland.
It's us right down the street from Cleveland. I don't think I agree with you. Okay, I'll go back on what you said. Pittsburgh's defense is okay. They're, like you said, middle of the pack. Maybe they're 9th in the league in yards of scoring, whatever it is. But here's the thing. They're good against the pass. You said the pass rush. That's not where Cleveland's success is. I mean, we know if you have to put this game in Baker Mayfield's hands, then I'm going to take Pittsburgh all day long. But I think Cleveland can control the clock, establish the run, utilize Nick Chubb, little check down passes when necessary. I think they can do what it takes to win this game. So that's why.
All right, you're going with Cleveland. Me and G Money like Pittsburgh at home. We'll see what happens. All right, man, that's a wrap. Looks like we're different on that game. We're different on Tennessee and Miami. That's it.
You and I. Okay.
Yeah. And then G Money, I don't know. I think he's smoking crack. All right. Happy New Year, fans. Have a good one, PB. Enjoy the week, the weather down there.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right, man.